Redditors assemble. r/AskReddit. What screams pretending to be upper class? I work at an exotic car rental branch. I have plenty of customers that rent our cars and ask us to take the tags off the keyring. Understandable. Then I have some that insist they get the same license plate each time and will flip out if I give them the same model as usual, but with the plate one digit off. They're trying to make the appearance to whoever that they own the car and get themselves in a trap where they have to keep renting to keep up the illusion. That charade never lasts long. Who on earth memorizes the plates on an acquaintance's car? No one gives a shit. Probably someone tired of putting up with an acquaintance who is a compulsive liar. Fair point. Struggling to scrape together the minimum payments on a luxury car. Jeff Lowe. I read today he had to sell his Ferrari in order to pay bills on that zoo he still owns. How will he pay for the hot bilingual nanny? Talking about possessions. Slipping dollar amounts into conversations. Act like you've been there before. Knew a guy that once worked as a waiter at the restaurant at a high-end country club. He said it was pretty obvious who was new money and who was old money. New money people always made a point of getting the most expensive dinner on the menu, and the fanciest wine, and so on. Because they had imposter syndrome from hell and felt like they had to act the part in order to prove that they deserved to be there. Old money would order a cheeseburger and a Coke, because that's what they were in the mood for. Damn, the McDonald's kid for sure thinks I'm old money. So you're saying I shouldn't brag about my favorite $7 boots that I bought at a thrift store? $5,000 purse with no money in it. $2,000 bag with no cash in your purse. Kanye. Now you send this thread in courtside. Talking down to working class people. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely snooty asshole upper class people, however in my interactions with them as a working class person in services they've always been extremely nice. My guess is, because we both know who we are in society, so there are no pretensions. Fake upper class people have to completely reinforce the class divide. It had to be absolutely clear that they are and always have been above you. Part of me thinks it's resentment at what they might have used to have been, and the other part thinks it's how they think other upper class people behave. This is absolutely true. I used to be a bartender in a very high-end hotel. Our clientele was comprised almost entirely of upper echelon business workers, mid-high-end weddings, and high-end banquets. People with serious money don't give a frick. If they have a problem, they aren't scared to tell you about it, and are happy as long as it gets rectified promptly. Otherwise they treat you like a human freaking being and tip well. Generally, people who think they have money are massive cockbags. These people act like hot shit, treat service workers like hot shit, and you can see right through it. And you learn to tell immediately because of little things like accessories and attitude. People with money never show off the things that prove it, like wallets, watches, jewelry, and purses. If they don't have money, they have one glaringly expensive accessory, and they flaunt that shit. Immediate red flag. People with money don't need to act or be told that they are important. Tryhards gonna try hard to make sure you notice they think they are awesome, and also skimp on the gratuity. Some of the wealthiest people I personally know look and act like regular middle class people. It's mostly because they own millions in assets like land and property or investments. They're not walking around with thousands of dollars worth of name brand accessories they try to flaunt any chance they get. If you have real money, you're smart enough to know it's safer to look like you don't, compared to the people who don't have money and try to look like they do. One thing I also noticed, working in construction around wealthier people. The rich man is the nicest person you'll ever meet. He'll offer you a nice break time and talk like one of the guys. The rich man's spouse is a bitch. Don't even look at them. The rich woman is the friendliest person ever. She will thank you for everything and talk about how she would never be able to do that. The rich woman's spouse is annoying, obnoxious, and snobby. There are, of course, exceptions, but this is what I experienced in my time. Mac mansions without curtains or furniture in the upstairs. Curtains are freaking expensive, bro. In the high-end world they are referred to as draperies. I worked with my grandpa who owned a drapery and upholstery business, and it was fairly common for people to spend an easy 5k. Some of the bigger jobs dropped 10k plus without the bat of an eye. Putting entrepreneur on any social media platform bio. When I see this, I always think to myself, say you're unemployed. If they had built a business worth something, they would have written that you worked there. The fact that they say entrepreneur means they just have ideas and like to fantasize about doing something with them. Buddy of mine runs his own equipment servicing company. He just lists his occupation as service tech. Shopping in the curtains aisle of Walmart and openly declaring to me, an employee trying to zone, that we have no taste. I wish employees were allowed to sass back at stuff like that. I actually did throw it back at her by saying, "Miss, this isn't TJ Maxx. Power move." I used to be concerned about how I looked dressed when going to a high-end retailer. Now I simply don't care. If they won't serve me when wearing jeans, then I'll just go somewhere else. You all work on commission, right? Big mistake. Huge. I have to go shopping now. Not commission exactly, but my first job ever when I was a kid was a caddy at a very expensive country club. Every new guy would chase the players coming in with Rolls, Bentley, whatever else. After being there a while, I knew to wait for the dude rolling up in a Woody station wagon. That's where the tips were. Everyone who could afford a membership there had money. The ones that looked like they had the most had it, because they kept it. The guy with the Woody old station wagon is probably the one who has enough that he doesn't care what anybody else there thinks. The few genuinely rich people I know don't care to show off, because they've got nothing to prove. They'd rather spend time on things they care about, and are often quite generous to friends and people who do well by them. Talking about how expensive everything you have isn't how much money you have. I've found that truly wealthy people don't feel compelled to talk about it constantly. A friend of mine said that a woman she had to deal with would spend $20 on something worth $10, and then tell her she spent $30 on it. I mean, if it makes her happy, that dumb bitch, then who are we to judge? What a roller coaster. Throwing parties every week, and calling everyone old sport. All for that girl that lives right across from you. Gatsby that freaking simp. Also fearing you haven't been a good host. Getting married in a big fat wedding by taking out loans, borrowing from friends. Plus, getting super expensive rings when you can't afford 1 out of 10 of it. One of my husband's best friends comes from a filthy rich family. Think, billions. We went to his wedding a few years ago and the social experiment that ensued was beyond fascinating. The guests themselves were a mix of anyone from broke college kids, us, to doctors, to millionaires and billionaires. Some trends definitely emerge amongst the people who were obviously self-conscious about their wealth though. They were frequently dismissive, and sometimes downright rude, to the serving staff. They made sure logos of their belongings were plainly in sight. Your hotel room is literally connected to the reception venue, so I know you didn't need to bring your $1,200 Canada Goose parka to dinner. They also made sure to talk loudly about their expensive plans for the future and highlighting any wealth-related attributes in the process. Oh well, my girlfriend is graduating medical school next year, so we're starting to look at houses, mostly in the $800k $1 million range. It was a stark contrast against the people who were comfortable with their social status, wealthy or otherwise, who were all just happy to be there, having fun, drinking alcohol and wholly unworried about which stranger they'll never meet again knows how much money they wish they had. LOL. I graduated medical school 2 years ago and no bank in the world would give me $800k $1 million in financing. Residents make like $55k their first year. Doctors starting out don't make jack. I'm a resident making well under $100k with $325k in student loans LOL. Funny thing is, I once dated a guy in med school and knew all of this, which just made his comments that much more hilarious to me. Med school loans are no joke. He was working as a secretary for some holistic medicine doctor, so I know he wasn't going to be contributing anything financially significant. The guy was just a gold digger looking to play the long game in my opinion. Constantly altering your pink Chanel suit to fit in at a country club. For once, maybe someone will call me so without adding "you're making a scene." My favorite Simpsons quote ever. My favorite is "or, I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money?" My uncle and his wife are perfect examples. They bought a brand new Mercedes that they can't afford, live in a house that's too big for them, bought a caravan in a park where the ground rental is nearly $50k a year. They bought their kids expensive ass bikes that were never used, and what did they use to pay for all this? If you guessed credit cards, then you are correct. Credit cards and loans from my grandmother which they will never pay back. Then they make fun of my mother and I for being working class. Might as well spit on my grandfather's grave since he was working class through and through. Yeah, financing a lifestyle is insane. Going into debt for luxury items is the craziest thing people do. It's extremely insane and selfish. Our family is trying to get their debt, and my gran wrote off their share of the will. But they're fighting it, and my grandmother is going along with them, saying it's not fair and she treats all her kids equally. My grandfather had the same issues with my dad and his siblings, so he left his estate to the 5 grandkids equally, which we grandkids all thought was a great idea. Until our parents collectively sued us. 12 years ago and still ongoing. What was once the ocean of his estate has turned into a muddy puddle of nothing but a bunch of wealthy lawyers and family members who no longer speak to each other. Pronouncing your name bouquet. Obligatory edit. Thank you, mysterious benefactors. The bouquet residents. The lady of the house speaking. Oh, it's you, Violet. It's my sister Violet. You know, the one with the Mercedes, swimming pool and room for a pony. It's Sheridan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.